Yeah.
Okay. Is this on? I know it's on. Is it? I have to be close.
Put your mouth right up to it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'm sorry there aren't chairs for everybody. So I can do this. I'm not going to give in to the periodic panic that has struck me and others throughout this time. And I may not be able to look at anybody. I might just be looking at my invisible audience here. Oh, and myself. I thought I wasn't going to have to look at myself. Yikes. We're all, whatever. Do you want to just leave it?
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. Great. All right. So first of all, I do want to say thank you to all of you. The donations to Hope for Paws, that's something that Bay really, oh crap. That's what she really felt strongly about, the animals, and the rescue organization was something that she wanted to support, and that's really, really meaningful. And thank you so much for watching if you couldn't be here. And most of all, really just being so kind and generous with your support and love. It really does help. Okay, so this is going to be a celebration of Bay's life, and you're going to hear a little bit about that from me, but more from other speakers and the memory tables. I'm so grateful that people were able to, mostly John Weiss, my dear friend, was able to go through those pictures because I sure couldn't, and I don't think that, none of us really could. So that's great. And I just want to assure everyone that Keith will not end on a grim note, okay? But before we get to that celebration part, I want to say two things. First, I do want to acknowledge that we are here because of a tragedy, a life cut short from reckless drug use. And I'm going to talk about, a little bit about how we got here, not the gory details. And then the other thing is that everyone deals with grief differently. And it is interesting to me, and I keep saying this to people, from an intellectual standpoint and from the psychology of it, how people get through something like this. Of course, well, I guess you don't have to, but we plan on getting through it. So because that happens too, doesn't it? All right, but some people, some parents, can't touch their child's rooms after they have to leave it, or they feel that it's just too much. And me, I needed to have everything gone, but that's because Bay wasn't attached to any material things. I didn't feel that there was anything that was special to her that represented her. And I know she's gone. I say this, I'm wearing a red necklace because that's her favorite color. I'm wearing her bracelet, her evil eye bracelet that we got in Greece. And I think it was interesting to me that I chose to wear these things because I think there is a feeling that you want a physical manifestation somehow to hang on to. And I do understand that, I do understand that obviously, because that's what I'm doing a little bit. And then some people are very task oriented. My mother, when my dad died last year, where is my mother? Not that I want to be looking at you, Mother, but there she is. And when we lost my father last year, she was just, and she's a whirl of activity anyway, and she was a major whirl of activity. I have convinced her not to clean the gutters herself anymore at 77 years old, but she does mow the lawn, huge lawn on her riding mower. So she's got her tasks to help her, and I think that's true of me too, and Keith. And then I need to talk and cry, and to my loved ones. Stoney wants to grieve alone. Keith's a mix, I'd say. Definitely a combo. And I'm trying to take care of myself because I don't want anybody worrying about me. Whoa. I don't want anybody worrying about me, and I know she doesn't want to have, she didn't like to be the cause of anyone's pain. That was definitely her. And so I know, and this is probably true for everyone, there are ups and downs. It's going to be forever, and that's what will happen. But The reason I'm talking about this is because everyone who feels pain from this loss or any other loss, you just need to do whatever you need to do to get through it. No guilt, no second guessing. The person who's gone doesn't want us to hurt. And then second, why we're here. So everybody knows from the written tribute to Bay on the memorial page and then on the back of the program that she suffered from depression and anxiety and addiction. And for her, weed was a gateway. She told me that. And later, her drug of choice was Xanax. And of course, Xanax is often referred to in social media and songs as it's no big deal. It was a big deal for her. She spiraled down in her second semester of high school, second semester of senior year high school. And she was in involuntary care twice for her depression and anxiety that manifested in the substance abuse disorder. She was at 18, summer after her senior year, and then most recently in November of last year. Being around drug dealers and users got her into some serious legal trouble along the way. We tried therapists and psychiatrists. It's extremely difficult. And it's so prevalent, and that's why I'm talking about it. It's very difficult to treat. And she didn't like to talk about her feelings. And I think that's the thing, it's hard if you're already a closed person who's more focused on other people or whatever. That is really hard. And after her second time that she was in the hospital for that intensive psychiatric care, she did an intensive outpatient substance abuse program with Colmac for 8 weeks, and that at the beginning of this year. And I have to believe that's what made her able to be, substance free for the last eight months, which was great, except there was a lot going on inside, as you're gonna hear. And as we referenced in the tribute, she was adamant that she was gonna beat these things herself. She wanted to beat them herself. So she didn't do therapy. She didn't want to do therapy after Colmac, just a psychiatrist. And one way, probably the healthiest way that she tried to work out her demons was in music. And she wrote music and she recorded music, and her songs often expressed her troubles with substance abuse and how bad she felt for putting her family through it. And she wrote about that in her college application essay too. She wrote about Lana Del Rey, who you're going to hear singing some sad songs. I feel like all her songs are sad-ish. Everybody probably knows Summertime Sadness. I won't sing it for you, but you would recognize it. And her songs are on the playlist here. And she had her own struggles with alcoholism as a teen. And Bay wrote in that essay she would have been 17. And so this was before she really, as I said, she spiraled down in her senior year. So this would have been, she was starting to struggle. And she said that recently she had realized that the pain that you cause your loved ones can hurt you even more than your own pain. And she loved and appreciated her family so much. And she made sure that we knew it. And all the way to the end, hours before her death, she made sure. And we're going to play one of her songs, but I need to give a warning about the profanity. Okay. Profanity can be a powerful form of expression. Those of you who know me know that, I'm not exactly, I'm a little bit of a sailor, but so sometimes, particularly for the young, and particularly when you're struggling. So we're going to play one of her songs. And it's called Consequences. Closer.
Started 2 bars deep, had a good night, just smoking with my peeps. Somehow it took a whole heap. Lost my sanity, the shit I could not keep. Woke up in the hospital, what the fuck happened to me? Suicidal ideations running through my brain. I think I'm going insane. When I woke up, I ain't feel the same. Had to get my ass on cam, pull me at the van, almost killed myself all because of some fucking Zans. Handcuffed to the bed because I fucking ran. All this bullshit make me question who I am. Crying to my family, what the fuck is happening? I was trying to have fun, ain't need to reach this gravity. Always blaming myself for my fucked up mental health. Wanted to die, but I could never tell. I was begging to die, please just in my life. That's why I popped so many pills, just trying to feel alright. Started off as harmless fun, I used to only just pop one, but addiction became deeper. What was I running from? Waiting for the grim reaper, trying to live fast, die young, become something I'm not. Wasn't doing so hot. But I ain't seen that, I thought my life was lit. Sleeping all day, waking up, still hit. Fuck all other shit, living a life of sin. I'm done with all that, don't wanna end up in the pen. Mama, I love you, I'm sorry for what I did. Hope one day that she'll just forgive. Lying to my loved ones, trying to catch my next buzz. My vision was skewed, all I cared about was drugs. Really wasn't doing well, I was in a living hell. I tripped and I fucking fell, stuck in the dark. I spell, all I can do is fucking dwell on my past. Wish I could go Dutch.
Okay, now I'm going to want you to imagine her most recent lyrics in her voice, since I cannot do that. And she wrote these were on her phone, and she wrote them on a week ago Wednesday, before she relapsed. It's called God, I Wanna Smoke. God, I wanna pop a Xan, wonder if I can, I can't. Because if I do, I'll do the most. I'll overdose, straight into comatose. That's how it goes. Fuck sobriety, I gotta stay high to fit into society. Wish I just stuck to tree. Maybe then my friends wouldn't leave me. Trying to build myself back up, but all I'm thinking about is dropping Xannies in my cup. I'm fucked up. Got 8 months clean, but I still pop bars in my fucking dreams. Learning self-control, my mind's going crazy, think I'm about to blow. I can't relapse, because if I do, I'll fall straight into the trap. Would you look at that? I'm on my P's and Q's. I got a job now. I'm doing what I got to do. But it won't take long for my addict mind to do me wrong. Should have just stuck to hitting the bong. I want to be free, want to get the fuck out this mentality. But if I go back, I'll have nothing. I'm guaranteed to crash, feeling like trash. It's an everyday thing. How long will it last? Maybe it's forever. All I want to feel is some pleasure. Drugs that give me motivation, but that first high is all I'm chasing. But then comes depression. I feel it in my chest. I'll do anything to put the feeling to rest. Can I please escape? Let me find my way. Want to end this pain. Guess I'm stuck with this fucked up brain. And that's very hard to hear, but it captures so powerfully the struggle she was experiencing. And I'm sure what other people have experienced as well. And that's why I wanted to share it, to help us have a little more understanding of addiction. Okay, that's enough of that. All right, I want to say, it's all so grim. I want to say something about little Basie. When she was 12, she went on an outward bound, and I have that thing over there. You can see she was starting to have some troubles then, with the depression, anxiety, and we thought, oh, maybe this will help. And she wrote in a self-evaluation something which I think actually is so accurate in terms of her characteristics. She was asked, what are your 3 words that you would use to describe yourself? And then the 3 words were funny, accepting, trustworthy. I chose funny because I believe that people see me that way. I enjoy making people laugh. And that's, I think, shared by every member of her family. We certainly I'll speak for myself. I certainly like to laugh myself. I chose accepting because I'm very non-judgmental. I accept everyone for who they are, and I truly believe in redemption. I don't care what people have done in the past. I will accept them for who they are in the present. And that's just something she couldn't do with herself, but it's absolutely true of how she thought about others. I chose trustworthy because I'm good at keeping secrets, and people come to me when they need help or advice. And that's all I'm going to say, she just has such a beautiful light in her, and she couldn't see it. She's left a giant hole in my heart, of course. I'm going to miss her so much. But I am glad she's at peace now, and I do think that I'm not going to say lucky because that's not right, but I'm glad that we have something to hold on to because she clearly was suffering so much. And it certainly will help me make peace with her absence. Okay, now my brother. Oh, right. Okay. Sorry.
I first met Bay when she was 1 day old. Stoney and I were already good friends at that time, so Keith asked if I could take care of Stoney so that Keith could be present at Bay's birth. I was extremely nervous, thinking about all the things that could go wrong. As a matter of fact, on the way to their house, I actually ran a stop sign, wondering about these things. However, as far as Laura and Keith know, everything went well. And the next day, we went into the hospital to see little 1 day old Bay. And Laura and Keith told Stoney that Bay had purchased for him a nice toy tool set. And I like to think of this as an early example of one of Bay's defining characteristics, which is her generosity, even though possibly in that case she may have received a bit of an assist from her parents. Another thing that really defined young Bay was her determination. And I want to be able to give you a few examples of this. We'll start when Bay was just about a year old, just barely learning to walk. Like she'd taken a couple of times one tentative step. Well, I came over to their place in Arlington, and I had bought for her a little testudo doll. Now, for those of you who don't know what this is, the University of Maryland mascot is a terrapin. So I had the little stuffed terrapin, and I had this, and I brought it out to show her, and her eyes got wide, and she forgot that she couldn't walk, and she walked 10 steps across the living room to get the doll. I mean, that's really impressive, right? Now, fast forward a few years. This is when Bay was just starting to learn to read. And I would come over every couple of weeks to play with Stoney and Bay, and I would play these games with them where I would have clues and they'd have to solve puzzles and defeat bad guys and all this other stuff. And a key component of this was that there would be little envelopes with the next clue. Now, Stoney was doing this because I asked him to. Bay, on the other hand, really, really wanted to read it, even if she couldn't read it. It was like a magic power that she was able to get meaning out of these words. She was determined to be able to read. A few years later, now at this stage, the kids are old enough that I can't necessarily come up with, the most special, amazing birthday present ever. So what I did for both of them is I said, hey, look, whatever you want, one day with me, let's go out and do stuff. You choose. And of course, partly in my mind was that I wanted to be able to talk with them. And so one of these times, Bay had noticed that there was and she wanted to go down there. So we took the metro down and we're talking a bit, and she had her sketchbook out. And so we got to this display and we're walking along and she's looking, and then stop. Okay, now this is a dress. Okay, well, at that point I might as well not have been there because she was absolutely focused on the idea of drawing. And she did a lot better than I did, I can tell you that. This was Bay. Whatever she did, whatever goals she had, she approached it with absolute vigor, whether it was trying to learn something new or playing soccer where perhaps the skill level was not there, although better than mine, but the determination was there. What we said at that time in the family is that we pitied the brick wall that got in her way. We know that starting really in middle school, Bay's story became sadder. A combination of bad influences, bad choices. She still managed to get accepted at 9 different universities when she applied. We know how the story has ended, but I do not want to focus on that. To me, I remember young Bay, the determined, focused, destroyer of brick walls. As we walk through life, we are shaped by our experiences and by the people we love and who love us. We should always be willing to learn lessons from anyone. And to me, the lesson that I have learned from Bay is that if you have a positive goal, not something selfish, but something that is going to improve you or improve the world, then there are no excuses. You go and do it. If you fall down and skin your knee, literally or metaphorically, it's okay to cry, but you get back up and you do it. It's extremely hard to lose Bay, but I am profoundly grateful to have had her in my life.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming. I'm happy that I didn't go first because I think there were some harder things that had to be said, and it was really important they were said. But because I didn't have to say them, I'm just going to talk about happy stuff. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I think like most people with siblings, my memories growing up are filled with Bay. You know, from moving to and from Michigan. To all our family vacations, she's always there with me. And of course, as her older brother, it was my obligation to annoy the hell out of her. That's what I did. She hated being called Bay Z, which I know you just referred to her as, but I would always bug her with that. And then whenever she would tell me to stop, I would say stop saying so tip because we saw it on a stop sign one time and I just never let it go. She had the strangest and one of the best senses of humor of anyone that I've ever met. About 10 years ago, we took a vacation to Russia. We were walking through a park. We saw this guy doing archery. And when we walked past him, we heard him say Atsui instead. And in the same way, we never stopped saying Sotip. We just said it for 10 years. We never let it go. Never let it go away. Another quick story. When we were really young, we used to make these little home videos, kind of like kind of similar to the thing that Uncle Cole just described, the mystery type thing where we had to, there were clues and we had to solve a mystery. And at one point during our little investigation, there was a clue out at the end of this bridge. And I had a feeling that someone was going to be there to jump out at us, which there was. It was Uncle Cole. And there's a video of this, and you can see me, pushing her forward because I was scared. And she didn't care. She was never fazed by any of that stuff. She was fearless. She never. I'm a naturally cautious and kind of anxious person, and I think that's part of the reason why Bay and I were so close because we were so different and we had that shared sense of humor. Bay was my best and closest friend for the first half of my life. Even when we got older, we started, have different lives, different friends. I never felt like we weren't close. I never felt like we didn't know each other, And even when I went off to college, nothing changed. We wouldn't talk for a while, and then we'd go on some trip, and then we would spend every second together like it was all the same, like we were kids again. I always look forward to those because, it was our time together. It was our time to hang out. It was my association. Every single time we went on vacation, I felt like I got to bring a friend. I feel very lucky for that. This past week has been a whirlwind of emotions for me. I felt really strong feelings that I don't really understand yet. It's really raw, I think the first time it really hit me was when I went downstairs a couple days ago at 2 a.m. to get a bowl of cereal and she wasn't there. That was, those are the times that we would spend time together because we were about to stay up way too late. Or even when you were bending over to put the tape on this and, you're just displaying your butt to everyone. I was looking around the room for someone to, slap him, but those are the moments that I appreciate the most. There's some other inside jokes that we had that I feel like I probably shouldn't share because it's not appropriate. I want to end it on this. Bay wasn't just my sister. She was my oldest friend. She was home for me. So I think that's it. Yeah.
I'm Bay's grandma. Keith is my son, so we're in a Fenton family. Bay has always had a special place in my heart, and I remember a lot of things about her. I remember meeting her when she was born in Arlington, and then they moved to Michigan. I remember going to her dance recitals and shopping at Target. And there was a little fracas there, but I'm not going to get into that. She was always the sweetest and most loving girl. I wish we could have been closer, but there was a distance factor. But we certainly try to keep in touch. For the short time that she was here on this earth, I thought about her constantly and was hoping that she would beat this curse of addiction, but it was not to be. I can say that her legacy for me is that she brought the cousins together and the brothers together. And I think that was really important to all of us. I thank you for coming and welcome you. Thank you.
You have to be very close.
You have to be very close. Okay. Bay was a brave little girl. Laura and Keith shared Stoney and Bay with us for a couple weeks in the summer when they were little. They would fly with Uncle Cole to Hillsdale, Michigan, and we would plan adventures that were more fun for us because we experienced them once again with children. One summer, we went to the Ogilvy Resort in West Virginia. Now, I know it's Ogilvy, but for obvious reasons, it was always Ogilvy. We did a lot of things, and one of the activities, there was a huge pool with 1 and 3 meter diving platforms. Little 4 or 5 year old Bay fearlessly and repeatedly ran off the 1 meter platform because we wouldn't let her go on the 3 meter. I treaded water below, ready to rescue her if necessary, and it never was. Displaying the independence and stubbornness that were part of her personality from the beginning, Bay got herself to the side of the pool and out without assistance. Bay was an enthusiastic participant in life as a kid. Her teen years weren't so easy, and the past few years have demanded all her courage at times. Her parents did everything they could to thwart her desire to reclaim control over her life. Her brother offered input that he could only hope would make a difference. Her friends were available when she needed them until she wore them out. Bay tried. She really did. She acknowledged how grateful she was for the support she received and the guilt she carried because she was putting the people who cared about her through so much pain. In the end, no one could rescue Bay from her own pain. But as I grieve our collective loss, I found myself feeling grateful for the good memories I have from the time I first held little newborn Bay to the good conversations we had just 4 months ago on my last trip to Maryland. Beno lives on in my heart.
Too short. Just can I hold it? Can I take it off?
You can hold it, just pull it straight out. Pull it straight out like this.
If you could sort of stay back first.
Oh,
Yeah, actually, yeah. So stay over here.
sorry, I'm short.
Over here, sweetheart. Because this is.
Can everybody hear me? Might spit some bars really quick for bed. Just kidding.
Close to you.
I am beyond belief that I stand here today preparing the courage to speak in front of you all. In my mind, by the time I would be up here, Bay would have been significantly saggier and wrinklier. We had serious plans to be together in the same old folks' home, ensuing chaos, running over people's toes in our wheelchairs together. It's merely impossible for me to reflect on my young life and to recount a time that Bay wasn't a part of it. Growing up, I was never someone who had billions of friends. I often struggled to find those I could confide in and feel safe enough to act as my true self. Throughout our time together, Bay offered me solace. Together, immersed in a time of growth and change, Bay was always the constant. Bay led her life with the deepest compassion and unconditional love for those around her. She provided a love which knew no bounds, not race nor religion, gender, sexuality, appearance, background. If you gave Bay an ounce of friendship, she didn't hesitate to give you the world. She was unapologetically herself and wished that peace to those around her. In my darkest times, Bay was there with open arms and an open heart, ready to pull me out. Whether it was providing me with the validation and love at a time when I didn't love myself, or scooping puke off my couch and telling me it was going to be okay when a girl had projectile vomited on it after homecoming. This is a truly tragic event, as Bay was working tirelessly to heal herself. Bay was sober for 8 months, working every day with professional help on her personalized plan. She was enrolled to go back to school in the fall while continuing to work with her job caring for animals. So many of Bay's dreams and aspirations were never realized. There's no way to rationalize the death of a 20-year-old. We all let Bay down. I let Bay down. However, today we are gathered together and presented with an opportunity to have Bay live through all of us, setting out to live our lives with the principles that Bay demonstrated so effortlessly. Have everlasting compassion for those around you, especially in their darkest of times. Strive to provide comfort and solace to those around you. Don't hesitate to reach out for help when you need it, and check in on others in your life. I am so grateful that in Bay's last hour of her life, she reached out to me on the phone, conveying the need for support. She knew she needed help, and she reached out to her friends. We made plans the next day. Bay didn't know this was going to happen. Bay didn't intend for this to happen. I love you, Schman, if you're out there and you're listening to me. And I would give anything in the world to tell you how much I love you one more time. So actually, a couple days ago, Sienna, Veronica, and I went to the studio, known as the kitchen, to take what Laura said to you all, the lyrics of Bay's, and we recorded it. And so we all feel that if you listen really closely, you can hear Bay, because we can hear Bay. I'm going to bump this up.
God, I wanna smoke, God, I wanna pop a Zan, wanna if I can, but I can't. If I do, I do the most. I'll overdose, straight into a comatose. That's how it goes. Fuck sobriety, I gotta stay hot to fit into society. Wish I stuck to tree, maybe then my friends wouldn't leave me. Trying to build myself back up. All I'm thinking about is dripping zitties in my cup. Fucked up, got 8 months clean, but I still pop bars in my fucking dreams. Ayy, learning self-control, my mind's going crazy, think I'm about to blow. I can't relapse, cause if I do, I'll fall straight into the trap. Would you look at that? I'm on my P's and Q's. I got a job now, doing what I gotta do. It won't take long now for my addict mind to do me wrong. We are the geeking boys. Geeking boys. This is the best day of my life. Oh my God. Should've just stuck to hitting the bong. I wanna be free, wanna get the fuck out this mentality. If I go back, I'll have nothing. Guaranteed to crash, feel like trash. It's an everyday thing. How long will it last? Maybe forever. All I wanna do is get some pleasure. Drugs that give me motivation. That first high is all that I'm chasing. Then comes depression. I feel it in my chest, and I'll do anything to put the feeling to rest. Can I please escape? Let me find my way. Wanna end this pain? Guess I'm stuck with this fucked up brain.
Thank you guys so much for all coming out and listening. All of her friends and her family, we really hope to plant a tree somewhere in Bay's honor with a plaque because she won't be having a grave site, so we can all go and mourn there and visit her. And yeah, all right, thank you, everybody.
Can I just hold it?
And just a short. We'll bring it way down for you. Just make sure you stand like over so it's streaming. You can't see yourself. Are you okay?
Yep.
You can't be close to it.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Firstly, I want to thank Keith, Laura, and Stony for letting me speak today. It's been an honor being so. Oh, can you hear me?
Sweetie. Very close.
It's been an honor being so close to your family all these years and getting to be a part of your daughter's life. Secondly, to all my old friends that have loved and cared for Bay just as I have all these years. We're all in different places in our lives and scattered across the country, but I'm glad that we could be here today to celebrate her life. And for everyone here today, many of you grew up with Bay, and I don't think there's a single person in this room that she didn't make laugh at one point. She spent her life. She spent her life. Where am I? Cheering her friends up, spreading joy and happiness everywhere she went. She was a silly, vibrant girl with 2 left feet and the kindest heart. And I've never met a single person who's ever disagreed, and that's really, really rare. I'm so happy that we all have a story about her to hold close to us. And lastly, to Bay. Hey, B, I just wanted to let you know that I'm grateful. Sorry, I'm shaking, if you couldn't tell. I'm grateful I was given these past 10 years to call you my best friend. Grateful for every FaceTime, every car drive, late night, McDonald's drive-through. Grateful for all the sleepovers, all our first times, all our last times, and the million more memories we shared together since we were kids. You were the person I ran to with good news and bad news, and you were always there to listen. We spent some of our best days and darkest times together, and I'll keep that with me forever. Growing up with you, overcoming obstacles, puberty, and BMS, because that was a struggle. I'm very sorry. Puberty, boys, college apps, and becoming the woman I am today alongside you was such an honor. You were so strong through all the mess, and I'm so incredibly proud of you. Growing up beside you was so beautiful, you have no idea. I'll see you in every beach I step on, every dog I come across, in Lana and Mac's music, in all and any unconditional love I see and receive. I'll see you through every good day and bad day until I get to see you again. Bay, you are light, you are love, a fearless. a fearlessly loyal, talented, kind, and compassionate soul, and we're all gonna miss you so much. I'll see you in Coney Island on your birthday, just like we planned. Say hi to Gracie for me. I love you always and forever. Rest in paradise.
No, I'm too tall.
Yeah, you are.
Only for today, though.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Diana Diaz. Probably recognize the last name because I'm Veronica Diaz's mom. So if your kids got in trouble with mine, I apologize. There's a theme. So I see a lot of you out here that I've met since, Tilden. And I've seen and had the pleasure of all of you growing up. And Veronica could not be here today. She was way too distraught. So she wrote a letter that I'm going to share with all of you. But before I do that, I wanted to let Keith, Laura, and Stony in on a couple little secrets that are just little facts, little tidbits.
It sounded bad.
That you guys, no, it wasn't bad. I'm sorry. They don't tell me secrets. A couple little tidbits that you guys probably didn't know about. So when I first met Bay, I remember here comes this, tall, beautiful girl. And I thought to myself, I gotta feed her. She's so skinny. I gotta feed her, and being the Hispanic family that we are, I was like, we gotta do this. Bay loved Dominican food. Did you know? There you go. Rice, beans, plantains, Bay loved it all. Bay was also the only one, for those of you who have been in my house, you know that Veronica's dad cooks terribly. But Bay was the only one who liked his cooking. And so I don't know if she was just being polite. But the one special dish that he always made was that god-awful fettuccine Alfredo. And she would just eat it anytime. 2:00 in the morning, I would open the door and hear giggles. And there was Bay, Veronica, and usually with Sienna or Danae. And they're all just eating this awful pasta. Yeah, she really liked it. She liked Colombian food as well. Anyway, I don't want to bore you guys with all the Bay eating stories, but man, the girl could put away some food. And I was always like, why? Laura cooks so well. I'm like, why would she come to my house and just eat? But okay, welcome. Come on in. Many sleepovers also in my house, many calls to you guys, where's Veronica? Where's Bay? Do you know where they are? What are they doing? A lot of times it would be in the kitchen, not my kitchen, the kitchen where they record music. That's where they would be. And so we would keep track on the girls and always look out for each other. So one last little story that I want to leave you guys with, which I think it's funny, but the girls, I don't know if you know, the girls took a horticulture class, and I think it was their sophomore year. And at the end of the year from that horticulture class, and by the way, they weren't interested in growing flowers, if you catch my drift. They got A's though, because they wanted to learn how to grow things, let's say for medicinal purpose. I was told was a Jewish fern. I don't know if that's the name of the fern, but they just said, nope, that's a Jewish fern. That's for you, Mom, because they would call me Mom. That's for you. And I'm like, okay, great. So to this day, that fern is still in my house. And it has grown and it has multiplied and I love it. And I call it my ferny fern. I don't know why. Is it Jewish? I don't know, guys. I really don't know. But that's just how they would pull my leg all the time. All these, it's how it is. During quarantine, she would come over, and it was always just a pleasure having her around. And Veronica's dad, who you all can attest is the crankiest man on earth, loved Bay so much. And he's also so hurt by this. And so from the Diaz family to you, we extend our condolences. And we're going to remember the happy times and the good times because Bay was funny without even trying to be funny. And that's what I'm going to miss the most about her. And I had a stroke in April. And out of all the friends, I know you guys didn't know, but Bay called. And she called to check up on me. And that's just how she was. always just selfless and asking how parents are, which is so weird. And we had our own little saying, and I'm going to miss that as well. Every time she called, for whatever reason, she was with Veronica, and I would say, "Hey, baby," and that was just our thing. Hey, baby. So, without getting too emotional, I'm going to go ahead and read what my daughter wrote. And again, that's she's sorry that she can't be here. I want to begin by apologizing for not being here with you all. I think it's crazy how you never know when you meet someone who will change your life. I met Bay 5 years ago during our sophomore year of high school in AP government class, and my life changed. I made a friend with a relentless sense of loyalty, an unmatchable sense of humor, and the most contagious laugh. Bay is so special in the way that she loves people for the way they are. The things that made people different are what Bay loved the most. All of Bay's friendships ran extremely deep because Bay never gave up on anyone. Bay accepted that people made mistakes, and even in moments when people turned their back on her, she never turned her back on them. She didn't believe in ending friendships. Bay and I had our first jobs together, made music together, went out to eat together, had sleepovers, and shared secrets. But my favorite thing to do with Bay was nothing. Bay was really one of the best people to do nothing with, and you'd still have a great time. Whether I was watching MasterChef, oh my God, did they watch MasterChef all the time? Yeah. Whether it was watching MasterChef in her attic for hours, or inviting each other over to our houses to lay in our beds and look at our phones, doing nothing with Bay was the best time. Bay was never mean to anyone, never yelled at anyone, and treated every single person she met with respect, no matter how they looked like, no matter what they looked like. Sorry, it's hard because I'm crying, but yeah. No matter what they looked like or where they were in life, Bay believed in everyone. Bay was everyone's cheerleader. She always rushed to support people's dreams, even if they were a stranger to her. Bay is extremely talented and she loved music. Bay would go in the studio and record all her songs within an hour. She didn't have to spend hours going through her verses. She would just step up to the microphone and pour her soul out. Her music became her diary. It became her coping mechanism and a way for her to express herself. She never believed she was that good, but she was amazing. More than anything, Bay was strong. Bay was so strong that when she would feel like her world was collapsing around her, she would still put on a smile. Bay never wanted to feel like she was a burden on others. Bay was a fighter. She fought every day. Bay is brave because there's nothing scarier than battling with your own mind every day. And Bay is my inspiration. My friends have asked the question, what do we do now? And it's a hard question to answer because what do you do after losing someone who has changed your life? What do you do after losing a beautiful young girl who is ready to start living her life? My answer is that it's our job to live for her now. Everything that Bay never got to do, we have to do for her. We also have to make sure something like this never happens again. We have to go to the end of the earth for the people we love. We have to listen to the people we love, and we have to fight for the people we love. If you or someone is struggling, reach out to them. Bay would stop and help anyone on the street. She wouldn't just give people money either. She would really stop and listen to people's stories. One day, Bay and I made over 50 sandwiches and bought water and snacks for the homeless in DC. And Bay stopped and talked to every single person who wanted to be heard. It's easy to make someone's day 100 times better, and Bay did just that, and she did it naturally. Let's be like Bay. Let's listen more, let's be more forgiving, and let's change people's lives the way she would want us to.
Come on, this one. So at this time, if anybody wants to come up and share any thoughts, they can. No pressure. Oh, Katie? Okay. and Emily.
I'm really short, so.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
sorry,
I was
forgot.
like, it's gonna
Sorry.
take it down.
You just speak really close.
Hi, guys. Thank you for coming out. Standing here today saddens me knowing I have to say goodbye to my best friend growing up. But having millions of memories with Bay gives me a sense of peace knowing she's always in my heart. Bay had something special. She was the type of person that you didn't have to meet to know that she was one of a kind. And I have the privilege to be around somebody that was the light at everyone's tunnel. She made me laugh so hard my stomach hurt almost 99% of the time. Bay was loved and cared for by so many people, and she really was the person that you can confidently and full-heartedly say that she was one in a million. Losing a person like her is something that will affect everyone that crossed her path, including mine. Knowing all the amazing things she accomplished and did for her peers during her life made me want to be a better person, not only for myself, but for those that I love most. Romans 8:28 states, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and those who have been called according to his purpose." Brings me peace knowing that God had a reason for everything that happens and even though that she's gone, her happiness and love for others will remain on earth forever. Whenever I have a bad day, I think about Bay and her strength and how she would do anything for anyone who needed it. And it's gotten me through some of my hardest days leading up to today. Bay is someone who I'll miss forever, but I know she's always there, and I'll always cherish the millions of memories we made, which made my childhood something that I'll never forget. I think everyone standing here today knows how much happiness she brought to so many people, including myself. Bay could light up any room you walked in just by hearing her contagious laugh or seeing her beautiful smile. I never got the chance to tell her how special she was, and I wish that I could have told her that I love her and that I'm forever proud of her, but I know that she knows that. Time has a harsh role in the world. It controls our days and it controls our lives. But since her passing, I've come to appreciate each second more and more. Bay has taught me to love life and to love the people in my life even more. As I end this, I would like to pray for Bay, Stoney, and Mr. and Mrs. Fentonmiller. Thank you for blessing every single person with Bay, and she will truly and wholeheartedly be missed forever.
Thank you, honey.
Do you want to say something?
All right. Hey guys, I'm Sienna. I really wasn't sure if I could do this. This week I would say has probably been the hardest week of my life. I just want to start off with saying Bay was by far the most amazing person I've ever met. And I cherish every second I got to spend with that girl, every laugh, every doing nothing. She was really good at that. We could lay around for hours, but that girl brought so much light to everyone here. She was a light in every room she walked in. I had the blessing of being able to spend the past going on 6 years with her. She was my longest standing friend. I moved around a lot as a kid, and Bay's been my rock ever since I've been here. From homecomings to cheer, to shamrock, to prom, all of it. She was by my side. When you saw me, you saw Bay. When you saw Bay, you saw me. This is just so sad. And again, there's no way to rationalize a 20-year-old's death. And I'm gonna carry this around with me for the rest of my life, but I'm also gonna carry around all the amazing things Bay showed me how to be, how brave she showed me how to be, how much she showed me to be myself, how much fun we were able to have. And I'm gonna bring that with me wherever I go. I wanna thank all of you for being here. A lot of our friends we haven't seen in a while, and it's just, there's a lot of memories in this room, and it's really good to see all of you. And I want to thank you guys especially for welcoming me into your home, even taking me on a beach trip with you guys. I was so honored, and it was so much fun. And just thank you for opening your home to me and my friends, because it really changed our life. Your daughter changed our life. And just thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Oh, okay. No, we good? Okay. We can have an open mic after. I just want to echo what Laura said at the beginning, just thanking family and friends who've been so supportive with obviously just, shoulders to cry on. And the gifts of food, both ordered and homemade, and also the help with the logistics and planning and planning for this day, and we just couldn't have pulled it off without you all. So I'm just going to talk for a few minutes about Bay, about the father-daughter relationship we had, which is an obvious thing to say, but feel like they're probably in the best position to do that. So, and then we can enjoy the wonderful refreshments. So, I'm a lawyer by day, but I'm really a writer at heart. So I guess that's why I rely on narrative, storytelling to come to grips with, with our family's profound loss. To try to kind of frame it in a story type of way. And my narrative, my story that I tell myself about Bay, or that I tell about Bay to myself, is colored by my grief, which is not the same as Laura's or Stoney's or her friends and other family members. And it's also, the narrative is also hampered by the limitations of my memory, including what I unconsciously choose to remember or not remember because of my biases and predilections. So that makes me an unreliable narrator, but then again, who isn't? My point is only this, that the truth and sincerity are very different things, but sincerity is all that really matters in the end, and that's my promise to you. So, this is going to be a very awkward transition, but studies suggest that a name can make one more likely to choose a particular occupation. They call it nominative determinism. Say that 10 times fast. So that's why you'll find, podiatrists named Dr. Korn, or lawyers named Dr. Judge, or a urologist named Dr. Cox. And so we gave Bay, when we gave her the Jewish name, Shira, which means song. And I find it very appropriate, particularly, I think you would too, after hearing her relationship with music and with lyricism, and that song would prove to be her tether and her lifeline and her outlet, particularly when things started really to get rough in high school. And so I'm going to take a little bit of artistic license and expand the concept of song to include lyricism, her poetry. And there's no doubt that Bay was a natural lyricist in terms of her storytelling and later her songwriting. So I'm just going to touch on a few little anecdotes that kind of outlines her lyrical journey. So we knew pretty early on that Bay's lyricism tended toward the quirky and the morbid. She was 3 or 4 when we were living in Michigan, and she was telling an impromptu story about a princess in the forest, and she was speaking in her very high elfin little voice about the beautiful princess strolling through the woods and chatting with the birds and the squirrels. And then suddenly she dropped her voice an octave and started speaking like she was possessed, and said, and then the princess' face turned evil, and she grabbed a squirrel and squeezed. And then it was around the same time that Laura had admonished Bay for something that she had done, some minor thing, and said, there are going to be consequences if it happens again. And Bay responded, what will you do, Mom? Press my eyeball against the light bulb? So it's just totally bizarre and morbid. Going through her baby book, or whatever you call it, memory book, I found a picture that Bay had drawn probably when she was 4 or 5. It was a picture of a stomach, disembodied stomach with legs chasing after a mother who was racing away with an empty stroller. And in between the stomach and the mother was a crying baby whom the terrified mother had abandoned to save herself. And the caption reads, there is a stomach that likes to bounce and never stops running. It runs and runs, but sometimes chases. So I like to think that the mother was overreacting, and this is one of those friendly disembodied stomachs. Her affinity toward friendship, she expressed as well. At age 8, she wrote a poem called Morning Girl. It goes, morning, morning, morning girl, come and play with me. Be my friend, come with me. We'll travel the seas, so come with me. Morning, morning, morning girl, come with me so we can be friends until the earth ends. She also expressed her love of animals early on. Found a school report from when she was 9. It was called When I Got My Puppy. I'll just read a little excerpt from it. She wrote, when my family and I got to the breeder's house, it was very loud. There were 5 little kids and a parakeet, but I didn't care as long as I got to meet my new puppy. I played with a lot of puppies, and they all smelled like pee. They had small teeth, but it still hurt a little when they bit me. The dogs were Boston Terriers. We chose the name of our puppy by writing down a bunch of names on a piece of paper and then choosing the 2 best. It was down to Beanie and Bubbles. We put the names in a hat and mixed them around, and we pulled out Beanie. When we got home, Beanie played outside and learned where everything was in her new home. I played with her until it was time to go to bed. My mom and I slept on mattresses on the floor with Beanie because we had to get up at night to let her out. But it was worth it because it was the best day ever. I have a little confession to make with regard to this incident. The vote for the naming was rigged. I thought that Bubbles sounded like a stripper's name, and I just couldn't be calling after Bubbles for 12 or 13 years, and I really wanted Beanie, because Beanie was the name of my little favorite doll as a child, that I had stupidly was holding out the window at a moving car, and then I dropped it on the highway and lost it. And so it's kind of sad that an adult man had to rig a puppy naming election to make up for a traumatic childhood memory, but there it is. Now, 2010 was the first time I'm aware that Bay used her writing, to process a stressful event. I'm going to read a little excerpt from a journal she kept of a trip that we took to the United Kingdom. As a family, we were going to take the train from London to Edinburgh. And so we were at the train station in London, and there was an announcement that our train would be leaving from a different track all of a sudden, but they didn't say which track number it was. In the confusion, Stony and I got separated from Laura and Bay. And then this is where it picks up with Bay's recollection of events. We got to the train. Well, me and Mom did. Dad and Stony were behind us. Mom and I got on, and then Mom got off and went looking for Dad. A couple minutes later, I heard, "Wait!" Then I saw Mom running on the platform, and I realized that the train was moving. I looked back as Mom did the okay sign. The guard came, this is still Bay, the guard came and told me what was going to happen. I was so scared. When I got off the train, these people took me to a little office. I was waiting with a lady named Claire, who was very nice. I waited for about 40 minutes, and then another lady came, and they brought me over to the train tracks. I waited, and I was very anxious. Finally, the train came, and I got on. Mom and Dad came to greet me. Then I sat down and looked at the menu for dinner. Apparently, we got into first class for free. When my dinner came, it was so good. Now I felt better. So again, there's Bay's love of food. She wouldn't think in such a little twig at that time anyway. And the thing that amazes me about this story is that you would have had no idea that Bay had gone through that ordeal. This is a 9-year-old girl who's separated from her family, in a foreign country on a train, heading north with a train full of strangers. But when we were reunited in York, she didn't appear any worse for the wear. I mean, she was smiling, and just what an intrepid spirit. It was just amazing. Also, kudos to British Railways. Nearly finished here, so then we can eat. But Bay also taught me that lyricism, musicality isn't limited to the spoken or written word. You can live life in a lyrical way as well. And, I thought about the way we would engage in playful banter. Even during her most difficult days, there was still kind of this kibitzing, this give and take. So in middle school, she took to calling me Tad, a moniker picked up by her friends, and I found it very disrespectful and irreverent, but that's exactly why I loved it. I was often afraid of my own father, and I found it very heartening that Bay felt safe teasing me. I was very happy about that. If one of us had our feet up on the couch, we'd sneak in for a toe crack, or if you weren't wearing socks, you could expect a tickle. And then every so often, Bay and I kind of playfully flipped the bird to each other, subtly working in a middle finger, past the broccoli, I've got something in my eye, you've got something on your cheek there. Yeah. So it was just kind of this little rapport, this little, call and answer type thing that I really remember. That was kind of the musicality of our relationship. And I'll just close with our final conversation, which I consider the perfect example of the rule of 3. Now, the rule of 3 is a writing principle based on the idea that humans process information through pattern recognition. And comedians use the rule of 3 to craft 3-part jokes, the setup, the build, the anticipation, and the punchline. So my last real substantive face-to-face interaction with Bay involved, again, food. She had a huge sweet tooth and often complained that I didn't buy enough of the good stuff, when I went grocery shopping. And my last shopping trip, whenever that was, a week and a half ago, for whatever reason, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna throw Bay a sugary bone, just maybe just give in a little bit. And so she came down the next day and she was eating cereal, and then she had noticed, based on the breakfast cereal supply that I had gone shopping. And she's, and in her typical, sleepy way, she said, she grunted first, of course, and then said, "You get anything good?" And I was prepared for this. I was very excited. And so I open up the cabinet and I pull out the vanilla JoJo's, which I love. I think they're delicious. And she's like, meh. And so, okay, all right. So I got something else here. And so then I pull out the Trader Joe's chocolate bars, milk chocolate bars. And she goes, "Yeah, those are pretty good." So then I open up the freezer and I pull out the chocolate chip cookie ice cream sandwiches. And that received a big smile. And she says, "Yeah, good job. Good job, Tad." Yeah. So, I like to think that our relationship ended on a high note, on a kind of a punchline. And, like the gifted lyricist she was, she left her audience wanting more. So all I can think now is I can wonder how Bay would tell my story. Thank you. So again, thanks everyone for coming. It really means a lot. And please enjoy the refreshments, and around the corner in the back there, there's you can get beer and wine and beverages. So again, there's also a digital slideshow there. So you can watch that while you're imbibing. Thank you again so much.